Namaste, good morning. I'm back again. The sun's come out now. It's really lovely. Still a cool breeze and everything's a bit damp, but it's beautiful here. So I was wondering why I wanted to do this video this morning. I still don't really know. I just sort of feel guided to share something, but I'm not really sure what that is yet. So yeah, here I am. If anyone has any questions or anything that they want to discuss, then just put a message at the bottom of this video and let me know. You're probably all quite aware of a lot of my sharings on social media, so there might be something that you want to ask me that you haven't asked me. So feel free if you want to ask me something. What do I want to share with you guys? Well, we're into spring now. It's a beautiful day. I'm feeling very alive, awake this morning. It was very hot in the night last night, so I didn't sleep all the way through the night. But I woke up really super early, with a real sense of today as a productive day and an opportunity, you know, to create something beautiful. And I was going to be running an event from here today, but pretty much everybody who I thought was coming has cancelled. And actually maybe that's what I want to talk to you about, this time of transition. I'm sure it's not just me, I'm sure there's many more of you out there that are going through a time in your life where you're leaving almost one life behind and you're moving into a new life, you're moving into a new space, a new experience, and it hasn't quite completely formed itself yet, so you're in this sort of incubation period, if you like, where the new life hasn't quite appeared and the old life is pretty much left, and you're just kind of waiting patiently in between the two. I know that's what it is for me at the moment, as I leave behind my 6 years of running big-ish, I won't say huge, they weren't huge events, but big events for in this community, with international speakers and lots of spiritual leaders and teachers, and that's what I did for sort of 6 years. And often people would ask me, what is it that you do? And I would just be organising the events. I wouldn't even really be speaking at the events. I would be too shy to speak, actually, sometimes, too self-conscious. I don't really feel like that anymore, thank goodness. I guess that's growth, isn't it, with running the events for so long. And yeah, now I'm moving into this space where I've pretty much, I'm not even connected to a lot of the people that I used to be connected to, a lot of the people that used to come to my events. It's almost like we've shifted paradigm somewhere, and they're no longer in my experience and I am no longer in their experience, which is really interesting, and it leaves this open space for all these possibilities to happen. And I just feel like life obviously is full of possibilities, and we often choose the direction that, or we have a sense of choosing the direction that we want to go in. But for me at the moment, it seems a little bit like wherever I put my energy to create something, it's not really happening. So it's a real test in not getting caught up, not identifying with the things that aren't happening, and bringing myself into this space of peace with knowing that it's all unfolding exactly as it should, even although it just feels really wobbly. It's a little bit like what's happening in Hawaii with the volcano, you know. There's a lot of people there that I'm sure are in fear. There's a lot of people there that probably very much going with the flow and feel excited about new possibilities, and then there are people who are possibly having to evacuate their homes and leave what they know and leave all these things that they've become accustomed to and used to, that they identify deeply with because it's become a part of their life. And they're having to leave that all behind. And I feel like this is a metaphor for what's going on in the world right now. It's like this new earth is being born, and it means that there is this shift, for a better word. I mean, that word gets used so much, but there's a shift happening within so many of us, all of us, even those that aren't aware that it's happening, it's still happening. And then there is this manifestation that's happening outside of us because of the shift that's happening in, and we are birthing this new earth, this new life, this new way of being and living and eating and sharing and enjoying and celebrating and meditating and life just has so many possibilities. And at the same time, like as in Hawaii, the lava is coming in and it's like covering all the old. It's clearing the way, it's burning away everything that's no longer needed, literally. It's seeping up through the ground and creating a new earth, literally. And although we don't have that in the UK here, it's happening on an energetic level where we are tuning to a finer and finer vibration, and we are finding our way with that new vibration. We're finding our way with new ways to eat. So many of us are going vegetarian and vegan, and so many allergies around now. I'm a really good example of that, but I'm sure there's many of you out there too that also have plenty of food allergies, environmental allergies. And we're also, yoga has become really super popular now, and it's also becoming a lot of an important part of a lot of people's days, as is meditation. And it's all these things that help to keep us in balance, as long as we don't overuse them and get dependent on them. It's all about balance, really. Life, everything in life is about balance. And as this shift, we've been talking about this shift for years. I mean, I can remember living in Devon. I was 16 and we were talking about the age of Aquarius, for example. I mean, it's that long ago, and that is a long time ago now. That's actually over. I'll leave it there. It's a long time ago. So there isn't suddenly going to be, it's not suddenly going to be a change. The change is happening now within each and every one of us, whether we're aware of it or not. And some of you may be very aware of it, because you will be having to change the way you eat, the way you think, your lifestyle. Maybe your job is being taken away from you. Maybe the idea of the 9 to 5 thing just does not appeal to you in any way, shape or form anymore. Maybe you want to be creative, maybe you feel like writing, maybe you're waking up much earlier, maybe you're sleeping less, maybe you're having all these kind of sensations going on in your body, which is, in my opinion, Kundalini energy, which is the earth awakening energy that comes up through our bodies and awakens us to the truth and the new earth, essentially. And Kundalini can create all kinds of things in the body. It can bring a lot of heat. It can make us do involuntary movements, postures. It can bring tension to different parts of the body. It can make muscles move and vibrate. There can be ecstatic waves of energy through Kundalini as well. It can be very mind-blowing. It can be unsettling. It can be all kinds of different things, really. But the key really with all of these things that are going on in our lives is how much peace can we be at with everything. And by everything, I mean absolutely everything. I mean, if chaos is going on the other side of the world, can we be at peace? If there is an argument in our household, in our family, can we be at peace? If, anything that's going on, can we be at peace with it? Can we be at peace with ourselves? Can we allow all this flowing and ebbing and changes and shifting and energy moving and grace descending and everything else? Can we just allow it in the moment, like right now? Because no matter what's going on, if we can just be with it, if we can allow it, if we can trust, then we can be open to the next moment and the next moment and the next moment and the next moment and the next moment. And actually it's really just now and 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 so on. Because when things in our lives are changing so quickly, so phenomenally, I mean, people are even going to live in, living abroad, living in other countries. They're really following their energetic calling, if you like. This time that we're living in is creating not only a new earth, physically the new earth, the way we look at the earth, the way we see it, the way the earth is moving and the oceans are moving and the land is moving and disappearing and being rebuilt and reborn. So all of this is going on inside of us all the time. We are being rebuilt, reborn, renewed, refreshed, destructed. Our cells are being reborn every so many days. All the different organs in our bodies go through a process of rebirth. It's quite phenomenal. And so as all these happenings are going on inside us, it's also going on in our lives, and we are reaching a time where to come back to basics, to come back to the breath, for example, to come back to nature, to come back to nourishment, food, connection, friendships, community. All those things are what will support this new earth to be here. And essentially there's nothing we need to do to bring it here. It is just becoming and becoming as we are becoming, because it's birthing through us. And our desire to create is God creating life through us, as us, with us. There's something in spirituality at the moment, which is where people are kind of discussing this, so I shouldn't have any desires, I should be totally detached from everything. Sure, you know, that's wonderful. And at the end of the day, yes, you know, this is all a beautiful illusion. But actually, while we're here in this body, this is our experience. It doesn't really help to ignore it. It doesn't really help to not participate in it. It is all one whole of everything. So even if we say we are not in, you know, we are of this earth, but we're not. You know, for example, this experience isn't real, but as long as we're experiencing it, it's our reality. Therefore, it is real to a point. Even if we've experienced the fact that you know, we are one consciousness, we are one vast consciousness, and there's nothing here at all. That's wonderful, I totally understand that. But still, we're in this body, we're having this experience, we're needing to relate to people around us, we're needing to interact, we're needing to look after our bodies. It's no good to be ungrounded in spirituality. We need to be grounded in it. It's really important, and there are just so many of these phrases bandied around in spirituality now that actually I've come to realise myself and understand myself that I did agree with them at one point, you know, but we have to allow ourselves to experience fully what is available to us. And that includes everything that's going on around us. You know, everything in our immediate environment, everything in our immediate awareness. And taking care of ourselves and taking care of everything around us. That's what creates community and harmony and love and peace, if we all are able to take care of our families, our space, and nourish the earth where we are, nourish each other, give to each other, feed each other, you know, take care as a larger community, not just expect someone else to sort things out all the time. And that's real compassion for ourselves and for others. Obviously there are things that we don't really want to perpetuate in the world. We don't want people starving, really. Who does, really, you know? We don't want people suffering, not really. But all these things are experience, you know, it's all experience, and it all leads to being a part of this and birthing this new world, this new way. If we have these things and we know they're not really things that we would want, we would actually prefer something else, then we know where to start, you know, we know what to build on and what not to pay so much attention to. It's such a paradox, this life is such a paradox, because in one sense we are this vast consciousness, a space of pure potential, nothingness, no-thingness, nothing here at all. And yet in that nothingness is all of the entire universe, all of the potentiality for every possible lifetime, every possible scenario, every human evolution, every blissful experience. Everything is contained in this moment of pure potentiality. And what I'm noticing for myself, and you know, probably applies to some of you too, is that we can't push things, we can't make things happen. We can get inspired, we can try something, we can create something. But if it's not for the greater good, if it's not destined on every level to happen, it won't. It doesn't matter what we do, it doesn't matter how pure our intention. And what we have to do is look for the opening doors in life, look for the opportunities that present themselves clearly, and this may come from in all different ways. It may come from somebody asking you to do something, or you going to visit, another country and something happens there and you get inspired. It's just about following life's flow, because there is this infinite flow that's continuously happening, and it's happening through us. Each one of us is an individual expression of that divine flow, or something that I like to say, we are billions of expressions of love, billions of expressions of God, billions of expressions of truth, actually. And I'm just going to have some coconut water, actually. If any of you have got any questions, please feel free to ask me anything. I'm really happy to have a discussion. Just going to look through now. Can't see anything yet. So I guess there's no real conclusion to this, because there aren't any conclusions in life, It really is a mystery that's unfolding every moment, and we have an opportunity every day and every moment, actually, really, truthfully, to choose our inner state of being and to live from that place. We can choose peace, we can choose love, or we can go into fear, and we can hold ourselves back in some way. I just feel that we're just living in a time of a huge advancement in technology, advancements in our evolution as human beings, in the way that we connect with each other, through meditation, through our awakenings, through our spiritual experiences, through our life experience. Many of us are also connecting with our spiritual gifts, our siddhis, and are being able to use those in our daily lives. And these are things like clairvoyance, clairsentience, claircognizance, so being able to hear things, being able to see things, being able to feel things, and feel things. I think I may have said that already. So all these spiritual gifts of insight, intuition, and knowing. There's a knowing that seems to happen where we know, often know what's coming next, but can't explain it, or we might know something about somebody but can't explain it, we just know. And this is because we're becoming so finely tuned. We're becoming more and more finely tuned in life and within ourselves, and so the barriers and the boundaries between our skin and the environment is becoming very fine, and the more awareness we have of our connection as one, as these billions of expressions of love, but ultimately one source, we're all one source, then we connect to that, the vast universal mind, and we can all pluck ideas from that, connect with each other from that. In fact, that's where all ideas come from. All creation is coming from the universal mind, the mind of God, if you like, and we think that we have a separate mind, we think that we have a separate body, we think that we are separate often, and none of these things are true. We are connected to the universal mind, the universal heart, the universal truth, and we can't not be connected to it. It's what we are. There may be an appearance of being disconnected, but we can never be disconnected from what we are. And many of us many people spend a lot of their time searching for something outside of themselves, searching for truth, searching for love, searching for contentment, for something to fill the gap, to fill them up. And what we search for, we are. So there's this great paradox of looking out there, thinking out there is some solution, and it's not out there. It's right here, and it's available now. It's not even something that's available in the future. If I go and do this, if I go and do that, if I practice this, that, and the other. It's great to do all those things if you want to, but what's available to us now is through grace, is through God, because it is what we are, so we can never not be it. We may, in our misidentification with the body and a single mind and a single life and all the rest of it, think that we are separate from God, from truth. But it's impossible. We can't be separate from it. How can you be separate from what you are? And life, our experience of life, is a reflection of that relationship that we have with God, that relationship that we have with what we are. And as many of you know, there's been many teachers that have come to this earth, that have embodied on this earth to guide us, to teach us, to help us to see the truth. Buddha and Jesus are probably two of the greatest contenders because those names are pretty much known everywhere. There's not many people that haven't heard of them, and I'm sure there are plenty of others too. So yeah, all these teachers that have come to this planet that have embodied here in body from spirit to teach us, to show us the way home, really. Often they've been misunderstood, misinterpreted. Often they've caused confusion and controversy and even hate, because anyone that challenges the status quo of society, of life, of identification with life, with the body, with a single mind, is in direct competition with the ego, which is the identification with the body and the idea of separation. So all these teachers, these spiritual masters, gurus, bringing people from the darkness to the light, they've all faced challenges, because they've all had to deal with a lot of condemnation, trials. They've all had to deal with a lot of mistrust, being misunderstood, really. And yet they were here, they came here, they embodied here, and of course it was God that brought them here to show us something really simple, which is that we are the way, that there isn't a way out there anywhere, that what we are is the way home is what we are, and it's right here. And their message was really simple. Jesus' message was really simple. You know, I am the way, I am the light. And I'm paraphrasing here because it's been a long time since I read anything in the Bible. But he didn't mean exactly that he was. He meant that you are. And if you come to know that through him, then you will know yourself. You will know the self. You will know God. And to know the self, to know God, is to live from a place of truth. To know Jesus is to know and live from a place of truth. Good morning, everybody. I'm just wanting to share a few things, so I'm just kind of talking away here. And hopefully you'll all find it helpful or useful in some way. So it doesn't take much for me to completely lose track of what I was saying. So yeah, the other thing that I want to say is, if we are not separate from God, and that includes everyone and everything, let's be clear here, everything, the things you like, the things you don't like, the plants you like, the animals you like, you know, whatever, it's all one. It's all one divine expression of God, and it's what we are. So we can never be separate from Jesus. We can never be separate from Buddha. We can never be separate from God. We can never be separate from all the incarnations of God, Jesus being one of them. Babaji being another one of them. And when we look upon these beautiful divine aspects of God, beautiful divine creations of God, they're embodied so that we can see the depth of who we are, the truth of who we are. They are a divine reflection for our own being. And this is what was meant by not worshipping idols. Because if we worship the person, the man, the woman, we miss the point. We miss the point of the truth, which is, it's not about the man or the woman. We are all beyond man, woman, race, country, city, name, family situation, job. We're beyond all of that. And when we speak the words I am, when we say I am, it is an affirmation that we are here, we are experiencing, we are happening, we are a happening. When we say I am is coming from an idea that I am. But what we are essentially exists before any ideas of I am. So before mind and identification can happen, before identification with the body can happen, before mind can have its first experience of thought, we exist. We exist as isness, the self, the great self, as God, as essence, as spirit. And that is what we all are. Is we are before the body, before life, before an experience of life as we know it, before this idea of I am. We are beyond I am. And I am is a thought, essentially. So the thought I am means we then become here. We then are identified with something. And as we identify with something, this body, this life, this name, this job, all the things that I mentioned before, where we live, our family, how much money we have, how much money we don't have, whatever the situation, as soon as we identify with that, we are viewing ourselves as separate. There is some separation has occurred, a very fine separation, but nevertheless there is a separation that's occurred. And when we are born completely naked, completely open, completely aware, just this deep, deep awareness of everything around us. And we're not identifying with anything until people begin to call us by a name. And as we keep hearing this name, we begin to respond to this name, and we, as babies, we begin to explore our body and our environment, and maybe these people that keep showing up, our parents, and we notice that people are calling us something. So we respond to that calling, and then this thought of I must exist because somebody is calling me something. So I am then separate. So we go from this cozy place in the mother's womb where it's dark and we're surrounded by water, and we're bathing in bliss really, because there's nothing there. It's the pure void within the mother's womb, and there are no thoughts happening. We're just experiencing. We're not seeing ourselves as I am. We're not seeing ourselves as anything separate. And then as we're born and we come into this world, then all these identifications begin to form, and they are reaffirmed by the experiences we have, the people around us, the fact that we have this body, and then we identify with the body, and we identify with our lives and all the situations that I mentioned before. But peace is not in any of these identifications. As soon as we identify with the body, like this body is going to die, this body is going to last, you know, I have so much time in this body, this life, I need to do this, I need to create this, I want that, then we are identifying with that separation. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. Far from it. You know, we all can live an experience however we want to, ultimately. But to keep remembering that what we are is essential God nature, if you like, godliness, divinity, purity, truth, and peace. The deepest peace can be found in the knowing of the truth, and that knowing is that we exist before all experience, all thought. And there is the peace. Just like that, straight away. There is the peace. And as soon as we identify with all the other things I mentioned, you know, our jobs, this, that, family, things we want, things we don't want, yeah. The list goes on, doesn't it, really? Then ultimately that's suffering, because this all ends. This experience will end. As we know it, it will end. And the reason it will end is because we exist before all of it. In existing before all of it, we bring this into being, but when we leave the body, all of this comes with us. It's like we all appear in life. We're like flashes of light in life. We all appear and then we're gone. and then someone else appears, and then they're gone. And this is the happening of life, is all these billions and billions of appearances of love. And these appearances of love experience life. Human being experiences life, experiences everything, and then they're gone, they leave their body. So it's like we're all vibrating at this higher and higher rate, and as soon as our vibration becomes so strong it cannot withhold this experience any longer, poof, we're out of the body. We're back to source, back to the essence, back to the true oneness. The beauty is that we don't have to leave the body to know all of this. We don't have to leave the body to understand the depth of this. And true healing, true liberation, self-realization, self-liberation, enlightenment, for a better word, true awareness is born from knowing this, knowing that what we are exists beyond this experience, that what we are will continue beyond this experience, that what we are is eternal, ever evolving, ever shifting, ever changing, energetic essence, godliness. Words don't even do it justice. I'm just plucking words out because it just seems to be the only way really to get the message across somehow. And so everything that happens between the silence and the experience of life is a play, is a dance of creation, is serious when it's happening, but not to be taken seriously because it's all passing. And there's the paradox. We are the unnameable, the ineffable, the eternal, experiencing the impermanent. If we can bring this into every moment of our lives, this is the meaning of meditation, true meditation, not attempting to sit and forget about things or focus on something or whatever it might be. The true meaning of meditation is emptiness. The space between the words, the infinite silence, where nature lives. It is our true nature. And to keep bringing ourselves to the awareness of that, moment to moment, now and now and now and now and now. That's the real practice of meditation. And actually, nothing else is needed. Not really. Everything else just falls into place. And you go on living a life, go on experiencing, go on enjoying and celebrating and loving and being and having and doing and experiencing and all the rest of it. But you know that the peace is found in the infinite. You know that the peace is found right where you are now. And this is the teaching, the only teaching. Everything else is a distraction. And that's fine. Feel free to be as distracted as you want to be. It's not a problem. It's not an issue. It doesn't matter actually. Can go on being distracted. There's purpose in all of it. I think this has probably been quite a long video. I'm not sure how long, so I'm going to finish this one and I'll perhaps come back with another meditation if you want to join me. So much love to you all, wherever you are in the world right now. Feel free to share this as widely as you want to. In fact, it'd be great if you can share it. I think there's an important message in it that everyone needs to hear. And maybe it will help others to find some peace in their own situations. If that's what they need and what they're looking for. And maybe it will spread some love and some compassion and some truth. Much love. Namaste from my garden.